Welcome to another episode of Bet TV Girl Power Zone today with myself, Ginni Saraswati. To my right, we've got Anne Kenneally. To my left, we've got Megsy, and then we've got Lisa-Skye as well. Going to bring you all the topics that us girls love to gossip about. Now, women in media. There's 4 of us here on Bet TV. We see so many representations out there. Where do we go from here, ladies? Like, there's so much fixation on what women wear,
Possibly
what women
not
do.
talking about how girls love gossiping because that perpetuates gender stereotypes.
So we're not going to gossip here.
Jesus, no, gross.
It's kind of like a brainstorming session. Some people kind of, masquerade that as gossip, so apologies for using it out of context, but I think gossiping's like we're having a chat amongst the 4 of us.
Yeah. It's interesting that you use, like, feminized language, though, with, like, gossip. You never say boys gossip.
Is there anything wrong with that, though? Using feminine, connotations?
Yeah, because even before we're speaking, you, like, bang on straight away, oh, okay, this is a panel of 4 women identifying people, so we're going to put these... Because, gossip's a very loaded term. Much
so
like
if
how
it was
in the
for
media,
men, instead of saying
wouldn't
gossip,
say,
what
like,
would you say?
We're going to gossip about sports, which in itself is a generalisation.
But what if we were a panel of men,
Yeah.
like, we're going to have a chat about sports or we're going to gossip about sports, is that kind of a different loaded connotation or...?
Totally, because again, gossiping is a feminised language. You wouldn't get on TV guys saying we're going to have a gossip about sports.
And I suppose my question to that is, what is wrong with the word gossip?
That you're automatically... gossip, I think, is a very negative word, because gossiping is speaking ill of someone behind
others.
their back.
Yeah.
Right. All right, cool.
Clear that one up.
Clear that one up.
I know, I get weird with gender stuff.
That's cool. That's cool. For me, words are words.
I don't think
which
it's
don't
more
mean
of a gender thing. I think it's actually the meaning behind what the
Exactly.
word gossip is.
Yeah.
And yes, definitely, I agree. Gossip is a term where you would say it's speaking ill of others, but also I wouldn't have any qualms in saying I'm just gossiping with my girlfriends.
See, I don't gossip.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm saying I wouldn't be, when I'm saying gossiping, like in that context, I'm not talking about others. I'm just talking about our days, our weeks, what's going on. I would use gossip in that sense, and not talking about anyone else. I would just, as a chat.
Yeah, right.
Instead of the word chat, I think it's more fun than the word chat.
I agree, because like when you catch up with somebody, you're like, so what's goss? You don't mean any kind of loaded...
I'm not a young person, so I don't say that.
You're just
It's
trying to find
maybe a hipster
information.
thing going
Hey,
on there.
friends, watch the gosh.
It's like, what's goss? And like, it's how you roll these
Yeah.
days. I think.
oh,
I don't think
that's another young person thing. Oh, I'm learning.
You're learning. We'll get you a diploma after this. But I don't
Diploma in
think
young
when I
person.
say goss or when I say let's just roll with this chat, I don't mean any kind of negative connotations. Just we're having a chat.
Interesting.
So there we go.
Talking stuff.
Women in media talking about goss. There we go. But speaking of women in media, like there's been a lot of stuff happening in mainstream media. Carl Stefanovic, host of the morning show on Channel 9, or today on Morning Channel 9, he wore a blue suit for a year and no one noticed, but his co-host, Lisa Wilkinson, she might wear something and people kind of critique it in certain ways. Where do we go from here, guys? Like there's so much gender stuff happening here in the Australian environment with our Prime Minister and our former predecessing Prime Minister being female. Where do we go from here?
It's actually really strange when you think about it, because when you look at gender and its portrayal in the media, it's actually two different types of gender which is actually portrayed. There's the male gender, which is portrayed as always being a strong, authoritative kind of thing, whereas with women in the media, they're portrayed as being objects. And the example was I was actually at the airport the other day, and I'm looking at one of the news boards, and floating the regular news, and then all of a sudden there's something about a female actress sort of showing her new body off, and it's just like, well, hang on, how is that actually newsworthy? Is she any less significant than one of the guys actually talking about something else? Is she just an object of affection or just something to fantasise about because she's more important because she looks that way?
I think having our Prime Minister at the moment being Tony Abbott and our previous Prime Minister being Julia Gillard is probably a perfect representation of how women are treated in media. I mean, the poor love, she fell over once and it was a little bit, but that made like headlining news, and it's like, oh, nothing to do with what her agenda is, and it's everyone just harps on how she looks tired or she might not be up to scratch because of, the way her hair is or whatever. And she was overturned for much, much less than what... We've got a Prime Minister that can't even talk to his nation and give an authoritative speech to the people of his country.
We've got a Prime Minister who wears budgie smugglers.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Prime example.
We make fun of him for that, but it's not in the context that Julia Gillard was scrutinised.
And she was overturned for much, much less than what he's doing to our country now. Sorry to get a bit political, but...
But what would happen if Julia Gillard was walking around in bikini all the time at the beach or something like that? What would be the public reaction to something like that, and how would that be portrayed in the news? Whereas you look at Tony Abbott, he can get around wearing budgie smugglers. How does that work?
Interesting.
Well, I guess the best thing we can do as consumers of media and sometimes dabblers in it is be the ambassador of our own opinions and not feed into using disempowering language when talking about women in the media, not going to like gossip sites and like Junkie and Gawker and all that feed into that whole thing of, you know, women are useless and pretty and frivolous and men are pundits and, you know, mouthpieces and things. And I guess just... holding everyone to equal accountability. And even if you do love a fashion blog or whatever, just making sure there's a balance of genders and things.
I also think as well, buying into that is only feeding it even more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So rather than going on that, what are you doing? Saying like, oh, I own this, I'm quite happy with my curves, I'd rather eat that burger than wear a size 8 dress. You know, it's like... not buying into that and understanding you as a person and being confident in portraying that to everyone. And I think that's the probably only way that you could dull that down in a sense, because fighting it, then it's going to come back in you and being like, well, you know, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Well,
Leave your own example.
Well, when you think of the state of the media now, where everything's going, like reality TV is booming. There's women who are famous, or men who are famous instantly, and then they kind of feel they need to portray this image of themselves or a way to live. It's kind of, how does that influence someone who's, you know, just consuming media? How does that influence someone like that? Like, how do you consume that?
Well, if it's someone new to media, poorly. Like, it just perpetuates these horrible stereotypes. So I guess we have a duty to kind of break those stereotypes and either kill them by ignoring them and suffocating them, or spectrum banging and going the entire other way.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we have all these plans to infiltrate women in media and to
Hashtag Girlpower.
Hashtag
Jesus
Girlpower.
Christ.
The young kids here on Bet TV. This is us signing off.